Hi everyone, welcome to enginerdmath. In this video, I will teach you about quadratic formula. So basically, quadratic formula is a direct method of finding the solutions for a quadratic equation. So given a particular quadratic equation, we just need to substitute the coefficients a, b, and c in the quadratic formula. So let's try to derive the quadratic formula before we solve some examples. So given the standard form of quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are constants, and a should not be equal to 0. By the way, a quadratic equation can have two solutions because it is a second-degree equation as denoted by its leading term. So the first step in the derivation of quadratic formula is we must get rid first of the numerical coefficient of x squared. So that is a, right? So we can divide first both sides of the equation by a. We can distribute a on every term on the left side so that we have ax squared over a plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0 divided by a is 0. So we can cancel now a in the x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0. The next step is we need to isolate the constant on the right side. So we just transpose c over a on the right. We have x squared plus b over a times x equals negative c over a. And then we need to complete the square of x in the left side. So we will need to find a term that we will add to both sides of the equation to complete the square of x. So to find a term, we just need to divide the numerical coefficient of x term by 2 and square the answer. So if we try to divide the numerical coefficient of x, which is b over a by 2, it is equal to b over 2a. And then, squaring it, we have distributing the exponent b squared over 2a squared or b squared over 4a squared. So therefore, this is the term to be added to both sides to complete the square of x. So by doing it, we have x squared plus b over ax plus b squared over 4a squared equals negative c over a plus b squared over 4a squared. So the expressions on the left side is now a perfect square trinomial, and it can be factored as x plus b over 2a quantity squared. Because when you expand the square of binomial, you will arrive at this expression. Equal now to negative c over a plus b squared over 4a squared. We just need to transform it into single fraction. So we get the LCD of a and 4a squared to be 4a squared. So 4a squared divided by a is 4a times negative c is negative 4ac plus 4a squared divided by 4a squared is 1 times b squared is b squared. Next, we can get the square root of both sides so that we can cancel the square on the left side and left at x plus b over 2a equals. So since we're getting the square root of an expression, we must put plus minus in front of the square root. And I will just exchange the position of b squared and negative 4ac on the numerator. So I have b squared minus 4ac divided by 4a squared. So we have x plus b over 2a equals. So if I try to distribute the square root on the numerator and denominator, I will have plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over square root of 4a squared. Continuing here, we have x plus b over 2a equals plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over, simplifying the square root of 4a squared, we have 2a. And then to solve for x, we just need to transpose b over 2a on the right. So we have x is equal to negative b over 2a plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Lastly, we can combine the expressions on the right as a single fraction. Since they have the same denominator, we just have to copy 2a and then combine the numerator as negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. So therefore, this is the derived quadratic formula. X is equal to negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So we can separate the two solutions for this quadratic formula as x sub 1 is equal to negative b. Let's try to get first the positive root. So we have plus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And the other solution as x sub 2 is equal to negative b. This time we will get the negative root. So we have minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So let's try to solve some examples to illustrate how we can use quadratic formula to find the solutions of a quadratic equation. So let's say we have x squared minus 7x plus 10 equals 0. So let's try to find the solution of this quadratic equation. So first, we need to identify the values of a, b, and c in this quadratic equation. So for a, it is the numerical coefficient of x squared. So since we don't have a numerical coefficient in the x squared, it automatically means that the numerical coefficient is 1. So therefore, a is 1. For b, the numerical coefficient of x term is negative 7, so b is negative 7. And for c, we have the constant term as positive 10. So using the quadratic formula, x is equal to negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, we just need to substitute the values of a, b, and c in the formula. So x is equal to negative b, which is negative 7, plus minus square root of b, which is negative 7, squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 10, divided by 2 times a, which is 1. So simplifying, we have negative of negative 7 is positive 7, plus minus square root of negative 7 quantity squared is 49, minus 4 times 1 times 10 is 40, divided by 2 times 1 or 2. X is equal to 7 plus minus square root of 49 minus 40 is 9, divided by 2. X is equal to 7 plus minus square root of 9 is 3, divided by 2. Then we can now separate the two solutions as x sub 1 is equal to 7 plus 3 divided by 2, and x sub 2 is equal to 7 minus 3 divided by 2. Simplifying x sub 1, we have 7 plus 3 is 10 divided by 2, or x sub 1 is equal to 5. Simplifying x sub 2, we have 7 minus 3 is 4 divided by 2. We have x sub 2 is equal to 2. So therefore, the two solutions for the quadratic equations are 5 and 2. Okay? Next, let's say we have x squared plus x minus 1 equals 0. So getting the values of a, b, and c, we have a is equal to 1, b is equal to 1, and c is equal to negative 1. Using the quadratic formula, x is equal to negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. We can substitute the values for a, b, and c. So we have negative b, which is 1, plus minus square root of b squared. So 1 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 1, divided by 2 times a, which is 1. Simplifying further, we have x is equal to negative 1 plus minus square root of 1 squared is 1, minus 4 times 1 times negative 1 is positive 4, divided by 2 times 1 or 2. X is equal to negative 1 plus minus square root of 1 plus 4 or 5, divided by 2. So we can separate the two solutions as x sub 1 is equal to negative 1 plus square root of 5 divided by 2, and the other solution as x sub 2 is equal to negative 1 minus square root of 5 divided by 2. So therefore, the two solutions are x is equal to negative 1 plus square root of 5 over 2, and x is equal to negative 1 minus square root of 5 divided by 2. Okay, so I think that's it for this video, quadratic formula. So I hope you learned something from this video and thank you for watching.